So what I have here is an industrial bulk container, or more commonly known as an IBC tote. What these are used for is to transport large amounts of liquid to corporations that, like for example, you might have some that contain epoxy resin, you might have some that contain motor oil. Say Jiffy Lube gets their oil delivered, it would probably come in something like this maybe. Cooking companies or food companies, not restaurants, but manufacturers get a lot of like glycerin, I think it's called, sugar water, that's delivered in these. It could be cake frosting delivered in these to bakery companies, not bakeries but bakery companies. So the most common ones are 275 gallons. They also have some that are 330 gallons, I think. And I know they have some other different sizes, smaller ones. This 275 gallon one is about the most common that you'll see, or that at least that I've seen. They're very common to use on farms because they're fairly cheap. Most places, I think like down south and stuff, most places they're a lot cheaper. As homesteaders, we're looking for more thrifty ways to do stuff on our homesteads or farms without spending a ton of money. So what I've done with these totes in the past is I've used them for my goat shelters, and I'll show you some of those later in the video that I've used. I just simply cut out parts of the cage, like on my goat shelters. I'll show you some that I have out back. Parts of the cage are cut out, so I'll cut some of the bars down here. Maybe I'll cut like here, and then here and here. And so you'll have a square this big cut out for the goats to walk into. And then it's plastic, okay? So it's a metal cage with plastic on the inside, a plastic tote on the inside. And so that keeps out rain, it keeps out wind, it keeps in the warmth. The large hole in the front gives plenty of airflow for the animals. You could use these, there's just so many different ways you could use these. This one I had to drive all the way over to Washington to get. The guy had two of these for $75. I bought one, and then as soon as I got home, I said, oh, darn it, I should have got the second one, because I had been thinking, I can't believe I forgot it, but I had been thinking about making a feeder for the goats. There are different ways people make feeders out of these. People would take out the plastic tote, and they'll use the cage for just to put firewood in. There's so many different ways you could use these on a homestead or a farm. They're extremely handy. Around, like I said, here in North Idaho, they're very expensive. This I got for $75. It is not food grade, so I wouldn't want to use this for water storage. But even that is still very cheap. That's still the cheapest price that I found. I normally pay $100 for these, but you could see the food grade ones around here going for as much as $250. So what I'm gonna do with this one is is not gonna be a shelter for my goats. This one is gonna serve two purposes. So one is I got a couple jobs I need to do as soon as the weather warms up. We've already got them ordered. So come this spring and summer, what you'll see on our channel is we've got 75 Cornish cross meat birds ordered already. Okay, so 75 chickens coming. So I need a big brooder for 75 birds. And then in July, I think it's July, either June or July, I've already got them ordered, paid for. We have 16 turkeys coming. So I need a brooder for them. So I'm thinking of all different ways. Where do I want to put the brooder? I don't have a barn. I got my shop. I really don't want to use my shop to put a brooder in. I've done a brooder in a garage before, and it gets nasty. I know some people I've seen on YouTube some people videoing they have brooders in their house. My garage was a mess after 6 weeks of having the chickens in the brooder. It was disgusting. So I wouldn't do it. I definitely wouldn't do it in my house, and I don't want to do it in my shop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have to make room in that little, the barn that we call it. It's just a 10 by 20 shed. I'm going to have to make room in there, I guess, or maybe the shop. I don't know. We'll find out. wherever I can fit it. But I was thinking of different ways to make a brooder, something that will last, not just one time. So I wanted something to make that I could reuse each year. So I was thinking about, you know, plywood, and it's like, man, plywood is so expensive right now. Even the sheets of OSB went from $14 to $25 now. And the sheet of plywood is like $75 or more. It's crazy. So to make one brooder, it's gonna be at least 2 sheets of plywood. I'm just figuring that off the top of my head. So that's $150. Plus you have to frame it out. So you have to buy some 2x4s, not too expensive, and then you got this giant bulky thing. So I don't know how the idea came to me, because I'm usually not very creative, but I got the idea, well, I wanted to get one of these IBC totes because I want the cage. Because I was looking at safety cages for forklifts. So I could put on my tractor on the forks and use that, number one, to take the Christmas lights down. If you saw my last video, I still have my Christmas lights up. That's on purpose, not because we're lazy. You can see the video and explain why. So I want to put my kid in it, and then also to finish trimming the trees, the pine trees, because a lot of these pine trees, like the lodgepole pine and stuff, they grow their greenery up top. And so you have a lot of dead branches that go up the pine tree. So I do have a tree saw, one of those smaller chainsaws that's on a large pole. And that's great, works out great. It's 13 feet long, so it's fantastic, but it still doesn't get, you know, I have a tree here. I'm looking at some of the trees I trimmed last summer, and I'm about 1/4 of the way up the tree. So I still have another half of the tree to go to get rid of the dead branches. So 13 feet doesn't take me up very far. I have about another 13 feet or so to go. So another, you know, so probably you're looking at about 26 feet or more up the tree that I need to get to. So I'll use the cage on the forklift, have someone lift me up. And I thought about doing it in just making a plywood, or not plywood, thought about making like a pallet and making 2x4 rails around it. I thought about that, that's good. Again, the price of lumber is just a pain in the neck right now. Then I looked on Amazon, and Amazon sells them pretty cheap, and that's actually the collapsible cages for about $150 or more, 150 on up to $300. And then it just dawned on me, well, why don't I get one of these IBC totes, get the cage, and use the cage, because it's made to go onto a forklift. The bottom of this has slots for a forklift to go right into, and then I've got the cage to protect me. And I even bought a harness, like I used to wear when I worked construction, when I was building highways. So I even have a harness that I can hook onto for even more safety. So I thought about that, and then it dawned on me, well, if I'm using just a cage, what am I gonna use the plastic tote for? And then I just got the idea, why don't I cut it right in half, and then I'll have 2 brooders right there. And then after each season, I can just hose it out, and I can even store it outside. I don't have to worry about storing it indoors. If I had a brooder made out of plywood, I would have to store it indoors so it didn't get ruined through the winter. Whereas this, I can just put this, I can even leave this out in the open. I don't even have to put this under my canopy over there. I can just leave these plastic totes out in the open, because all my other ones are left out in the open. So that's the plan. I'm gonna take the tote out of the cage today. The cage is gonna stay intact. I'm not cutting the cage. I'll be cutting the tote in half to use as 2 brooders, and I probably will get some lumber and make some frames for the brooders, for the plastic totes to sit into, okay? And then we'll go from there. And if you're wondering how I cut the cages on the other ones, I'll show you some of those in the video. First, I used a grinder with a cutting wheel on it, and that was okay, lots of sparks and kind of pain. And then I tried the Sawzall, and the Sawzall, a reciprocating saw, and it went through it like butter. It was so easy. These are nothing to work with. And some people sell them that they'll make a cage for you. They'll say the tote, and they'll cut any holes in it you want, and it's a good idea. It's so easy to do. So again, these are very useful. Use these for shelters, use these for waterers, for feeders, just storage. There's a million different things on a farm or homestead that you could use these for. So today I'm going to be making a brooder and sort of making a safety cage, but basically I'm just going to take the plastic out, and voila, there's my safety cage. And so these are the other IBC totes that I've used, and I just cut out a little hole in both the plastic tote and the cage, and the goats love them. So I have a bunch of these that I use. And I have a couple over there. One of the boxes in here is over there. So they work out perfectly. They are great goat shelters. And then in the summertime, I can use them when I rotationally graze them, if I want it because of the rain. I know some people might leave their goats. Like I have woods, so they do have protection under the trees, but again, I'm kind of soft-hearted. I like them to have protection from the rain in the summer. So I can pick these up with the forklift and move them around. So they're fantastic. They are durable. They can take a beating, easy to move, easy to cut open and create into a shelter. So that's what I normally use these IBC totes for, but not this one today. So these are, the screws here are Torx. If you don't know what Torx are, they're star bits. They're sort of like an Allen wrench, but an Allen wrench is more, what do you say, hexagon? And then the Torx is a star. So hopefully I have something that will fit. I have some large Allen wrenches that go on either my ratchet or I can put them on my impact driver. I don't know if I have Torx that big, so hopefully I got something, or it'll be an excuse to buy more tools. So I found one. I found a multi-wrench thing I have here that's Torx. So if you don't know, this is the Torx, which this is all I get now for my screws for like woodworking. They're so much better than the Phillips head. I don't think I've ever stripped one. And the weather today is, the weather in Idaho is very manic. An hour ago it was snowing, as heavy snow, overcast, cold, and now it's sunny and warm, and this weather's crazy up here. So I'm doing is all we have is these two bars that hold the tote in. So I just have to remove these and take the plastic tote out, and then I'll have my safety cage. So $75, I got a safety cage and 2 brooders instead of paying 150 something plus tax, 165 say for a safety cage alone. And then I'd have to build a brooder, and with the cost of lumber and knowing how I overbuild things, probably would have cost me at least $150, if not more, $200 to build a brooder. This is still going to cost me a little bit more for the brooder, because at the very least, even if I don't make a when I make the brooder, I'm still going to need, at the very least, sorry, I got my camera angled, at the very least I'm going to need to make a top for it out of lumber and hardware cloth. So I have the hardware cloth, and I might even have the lumber. I got plenty. I'm starting to gain scrap lumber. It's funny because at my last house, I didn't do farm work, but I did a lot of woodworking, and so I always had scrap wood around. And then when I moved here, I was trying to build stuff this summer, I didn't have any scrap wood. It was terrible. It really, a good pile of scrap wood is very valuable. So I probably have enough scrap wood to build the top. Yeah, so I probably have enough scrap wood. Probably under here I have some, and then in the garage, in my shop I have some. I probably have enough scrap wood to build the top. And maybe a frame. It'll depend on, I might do a frame on the bottom depending on how well these sit flat on the ground. If they sit pretty flat, I won't have to build a frame. But if they're wobbly, I might have to build like a wooden frame for them to sit on top of. Which again doesn't need to be anything spectacular, because it'll be the tote itself holding everything together. I won't have to build like a frame around it. I don't know, hopefully this works. This is a lot of the ideas I get come from YouTube channels and just seeing different people doing different things. I've never seen anyone do this. Not saying I'm the first to ever do it, but I haven't seen anyone use these totes as a brooder. I think, I'm not positive, but I think I've seen other people use them as shelters, like goats and pigs. I'm not sure. I don't think I came up with that idea on my own. But the brooder one I did, so we'll see if it works. Hopefully it does, maybe it won't. But I kind of like the idea of being able to use the brooder over and over. Just hose it out at the end of the year, disinfect it, and then just leave it outside and save it for next spring. So that'll be something to keep an eye on this spring and summer, as we'll be raising. So we won't have the 2 commercial breed pigs. We won't have lamb on the farm this summer. We will have the cooney pigs, and we will have the goats, and then we'll also have turkeys and a whole lot of meat chickens. Okay. That's not going to be easy to pick up. It's easy to flip, no problem, but that's heavy. There's no way I'm picking that cage up. So, but you can see it's got the slots for the forklift. So all I'm going to do is put my forks on my tractor and lift that right up, and hopefully it comes out. Maybe I'll need a little bit of shaking, but that's okay. We'll see what we can do. And there you have it, safety cage. So all I'll have to do is secure it to the back of the forks, which would be easy enough, either a strap or a chain or something right here, right back here. Secure it to the fork so it can't slide off. And you know, it's not the most stable thing, but once we secure it, I'll probably use a ratchet strap, make it nice and tight. I'll have to hope that whoever I let work the forklift, hopefully they know what they're doing. I'm the only one that really drives this. My wife has driven it a little bit. I teach the kids a little bit. I think my brother-in-law drove it once, but no one really has the hours on it like I do. But I'm going to have to train somebody to help me out, because when I do the trees, I need someone to work the saw, and I'm going to be the only one that can do that. But I could put my wife, my youngest daughter, or my brother-in-law can sit in the driver's seat and lift me up. Like to do the Christmas lights, I'll lift my daughter up. But yeah, this seems like it's going to be pretty good. See if these bars hold me or not. Yeah. You know, in the forklift, the tractor only goes up so far. I think it goes up about, I don't know, 12, 13 feet. So it's not super high. Most of the weight is all down on the forks. Now I did that lean-to over there. Let me raise this camera up a little bit. There we go. I did that lean-to over, oh, it's touching the tractor, so you're gonna be wobbling all over the place. Let me move it over. How's that? Good, good enough. I did the lean-to over there with the tractor, but I did it completely by myself. So I just put a wooden pallet on the forks and I raised it up, and then I got my 8-foot ladder and I lifted it up. So the platform of the pallet was never much higher than 8 to about 10 feet. 8 to 10 feet, because that's 10 feet off the ground where it meets the shop. So I was able to climb up the ladder with that. But like I said, when I'm doing the trees, I'm gonna need someone to drive the tractor and control it for me. But yeah, so all the weight goes onto the forks. And like I said, it's not like you're going 100 feet in the air. Seems pretty good. I don't know if anyone else has ever used it for that. And like I said, I will absolutely secure it with a ratchet strap and maybe a chain, especially if I'm putting my kid in here. Watch me get, I know someone's going to report me to CPS, can put my kid in here. Kids need to toughen up. We all need to toughen up nowadays, right? So yeah, this seems pretty secure. So once it's secured to the forks, I think it'll be perfectly safe. And if I really want to go overboard, I have steel C-clamps that I can put on the fork so it can't slide forward. I can tighten those down so it won't slide forward, and it would be secured to this. But we're not doing anything crazy, and I wouldn't put my kid up in the basket to cut the trees. Only I'll do that, so I'm the one taking the risk on that. But yeah, so basically, even if I wasn't going to use the plastic tote for anything, I just saved myself $75 on the cage for this, you know. So I was up in my basket talking to the camera, and my neighbor drove by. He's a friend of mine, and he saw me in the basket, saw he knew immediately what I was using it for, and he backed up to talk to me, hit my mailbox. So it's not a big deal. So anyway, we were talking about what comes in these crates, and are they food grade? It got cold again. We were talking about how warm it was, how bipolar the weather is today, and the clouds rolled back in, and now the temperature dropped probably 10 degrees since I first started filming 20 minutes ago. You know, crazy weather. Anyways, so we're talking about what comes in these containers and what are they used for. So I didn't even realize this before, but I just noticed that right now. So Roundup. So Roundup came in this. So this is not something I would use for food or for water. Now, should I use it for a brooder, put live chicks in it? What I'm going to do is like I said, I'm going to cut it in half, so it's going to be opened up. I'll be able to clean it. I'll use a bleach solution. And funny thing is, if you don't know, you probably know this. It's probably common knowledge. When I was still working for the police department, the bomb squad on our department was also the hazmat crew for the department, and they would go around the station sanitizing the computers and stuff in the desks. And they said it's 1 part bleach, 10 parts water. That's what their special magic solution was. So if you don't know, 1 part bleach to 10 parts water is, you know, an accepted disinfectant. I don't know, accepted OSHA, I guess. I don't know. Whoever's in charge of that stuff, right? Whatever government agency is looking out for our well-being. Anyways, that's what I'll do for this. I'll use bleach and water, and I will sterilize the whole thing. And then it's going to be filled with pine shavings. So it's not as if the chicken's going to be licking the side of the plastic. So I'm really not worried about it. So I feel confident with it, especially since I'm cutting it open. If I wasn't cutting it open, I was using it for something else. Even if I was using it for a shelter, I was only cutting a hole in it, I might be a little worried about that because of maybe possible fumes coming off the plastic. Not that Roundup made by Monsanto isn't a fabulous product and very safe for human consumption. You know they spray Roundup on food and stuff, right? So anyway, since I'm cutting it open, I'm not that worried about it because I know I'll be able to disinfect it pretty well. So the safety cage, that's it. Like I said, just pull it out. And I haven't seen anyone else do this, but hopefully I'm not a dummy when I try it. Like I said, I'll secure it to the fork so it won't slide around. It'll be secure. And I feel good about that. Save me some money instead of buying one offline or somewhere else. And then I'll do the brooder. So today I'm not gonna finish it today. I'm gonna cut it in half, go grab my Sawzall. I don't know, or maybe a jigsaw. I don't know, I'll decide. Whatever, I wanna try and cut it as nicely as I can. So super easy to cut. I've cut all the other ones, just super easy to cut. Like I said, these IBC totes are great to use for a number of different things on the farm. They come in real handy. If you do get a food grade one and you want to use it for water, you have the cap. This is the top part. You have the cap on top that you can fill with water. And then you have down here, you have the spigot down here to use, that you can use. So if you wanted to use it as rain catchment or something like that, again, it has to be food grade. And if you buy these from, again, I just bought this from private part. If you buy this from places, people that actually deal in these and sell them, they'll have them certified and they'll have a chain of custody for them. So they'll know if it was cleaned, when it was cleaned, if it was food grade. I did buy one from that person I told you I'm a regular buyer of, and he gave me one. He said, hey, I don't know if this has been cleaned. It's supposedly food grade, but I can't guarantee it's been cleaned, so don't use it for water. I said, okay, no problem. But if you buy it from, if you find someone that has like a legitimate place that they deal in these, they'll know if it's food grade or not, and they'll know if it's been sanitized. So that's good. If you buy it from secondhand from someone and they say, yeah, I think it's food grade, don't trust them if you're going to be putting water in it. If you're going to be putting water for yourself, especially, and even water for your animals, don't trust them for that. But for my use, for my purpose for this today, it's snowing again now. Crazy weather. This is going to be perfect. And all right, well, video me cutting it, and then that's all I'm going to do today. I'm not going to build the top or anything today. We're just going to cut it in half. So stand by for that. So I have no idea. I haven't taken one of these off any of my other ones, so I have no idea how this works. So I don't know if it just screws right off or not. Doesn't seem like it. So there's a seam right here that I'm thinking about cutting it on. So my two choices, like I said earlier, is cut it this way, and then this would be the bottom of one side, which isn't too bad. Once this flips up, it would all be level. It'll all be flat. So that wouldn't be bad. And then on this, if I cut it that way, then this would be the bottom of the other one, which again wouldn't be bad. I would have to cut through this, which I'm gonna have to cut through this no matter what, but that's not a big deal. It's starting to come down pretty good now. It's kind of hail more than snow. Wow. It's like little tiny snowballs. Anyway. You know, it's funny because I came out this morning and I did a bunch of work. And then after that, I sat on the couch and was getting pretty lazy. It was just me and my youngest daughter sitting on the couch being lazy. And so she got a call from the horse ranch down the road from the owner saying that, hey, there's another girl here, her age, a little bit older, like 16, who's down there, who can teach, who knows, you know, how to ride really well. So if she wants to go down there and learn some stuff today. So she jumped up off the couch and ran down. So she's down there. I figured, well, I'll get up and go work, and then I get this weather. So I feel as though cutting it along the seam is the best way to go. So that's what I'm gonna do. So I gotta get this off. I'm gonna use my handy dandy DeWalt jigsaw. I probably shouldn't. I do have a spare one in there. This one's my good one for woodworking. I probably shouldn't use it, but I want to make sure I get the cut nice and clean. It's not going to hurt the saw. I have plenty of different blades. So. Let's see, I got a sheet metal blade. I got a metal blade. Laminate. I got all the wood blades. I'm not going to use those. This is a wood blade that's on it. I'm thinking laminate. What do you think? I'm thinking a laminate blade to cut plastic. That makes sense. I don't know. We'll find out. It's a down-cut laminate blade by DeWalt for the jigsaw. God. Maybe I should have stayed on the couch today. Wow. This is like pouring rain, only it's snow. It's hail, I guess. It's not ice though, it's definitely snow. It's definitely soft hail. You know what it's like? It's like those ice cream things that the kids like. Dippin' Dots, that's what it's called, Dippin' Dots. That's what it feels like. All right. I always feel like if you want to spend time sitting on the couch, you got to earn that time on the couch. So I have to do some work today. Well, at least it's not rain, because if it was rain, I wouldn't want to be using the power tools out here, because all my tools are corded. I don't like battery tools. First, I got to get this thing off. It won't reach all the way to the bottom, so I either got to bust out the Sawzall or just get some kind of, I got some saw in there, hand saw or something. So this is a flush cut saw for woodworking, but it's a Harbor Freight one, so I don't mind using it. Voila. Alrighty. So that's So that would be pretty good, you know. And they make all kinds of, if you have a food grade one and you're going to use it for water collection, they have all kinds of attachments. You go on Amazon, find all kinds of attachments for these. They have small spigots. You can hook a hose up to it. All kinds of stuff for this. I had one that was food grade, but I needed a shelter immediately because we jumped the gun and got all our goats immediately, and then it was going to rain and I felt bad, so I wanted a shelter for the goats, so I used it for a shelter instead of saving it. But what I got for that one, I'll save it for the next time I get a food grade one to do water collection, is I have a cover. You go on Amazon and get covers for them. That way it keeps the sunlight out, so you won't grow algae if you're collecting water in it. So there's no seam down here on this side. So I'm going to want to make a line so I can follow it so it doesn't get all wavy. Purple. Purple. See how this does. This weather is just crazy today. This is just nutty weather. I'm telling you, we had at least 3 seasons today. I mean, and these Dippin' Dots are accumulating fast. Starting to get a little chilly. I didn't even think about my tractor out there getting covered in Dippin' Dots. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. Why am I cutting without my safety glasses on? Because I can't see out of them too well. They're old and fogged up, and I want to be able to see the line really well. Besides, no one wears safety glasses until after you get something in your eye, right? I was wearing safety glasses. I had glasses on and my visor, because for some reason it was windy or rainy or something when I was riding my motorcycle. And I didn't have my visor. I had just the glasses on. And I still got something in my eye. And I had that damn thing in my eye for years. I don't think I still have it, but it was a floater in my eye for years and years. And I was wearing safety glasses. One last side to cut. Maybe it'll be summertime by the time we're done with this. And I don't mean it's gonna take me that long. I think maybe just the weather will change. All right, what do you think? So there you go, chicken brooder. Now I could make it a little bit stronger by adding a frame around it. Is that absolutely necessary? I don't know. I don't know if it's necessary to add the frame around it. That could be strong enough, or if I don't want it so wobbly, I could do a frame. But I think that's gonna be pretty good. So 2 brooders for 75 chickens, and I might even only need 1 for 75. At least in the first couple weeks. By 6 weeks, that might be too small, just 1. So I don't know. I'll play it by ear. And I know you go online and they'll tell you this calculations of how many birds per square feet inside of a brooder. But even if I got to build just a skeleton around it, just a skeleton frame, I don't have to buy the plywood. You know, that saves me a lot of money. And I can use the scrap wood I have just to build kind of skeleton walls, just for this to sit into and be a little bit more stable. But realistically, it doesn't matter that it's gonna wobble. It's not gonna fall over. It's, you know what I mean? And plus I'm gonna be putting, I am gonna have to build something for the top, a cover for the top. And I would assume that I'm probably gonna build a square cover, right? A wooden frame cover with hardware cloth, right, over it or under it. And I'll probably put something right in the middle, like a crossbar of wood right in the middle, and then have it hinge on one side so the whole thing isn't hinging up. And if I do that, I think adding that frame along the top will give it some stability too. So I don't know, I'll do another video when I'm working on it and see how it goes. So either way, again, trying to save money on a homestead. So $75 got me 2 chicken brooders and a safety cage. So not bad, you know. So homesteader ingenuity, I guess, or just being cheap as hell. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share. See you next time.